Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni from Untangled Healing, and a little bit about myself. I am a pain-free living specialist. I work with people, mostly with people with chronic pain, chronic illness, and unexplained medical conditions, to help them heal with energy healing and coaching. This podcast is all about people with a message, with a passion, with a story, with the wisdom that we can share and bring this wisdom to the world. And without further ado, let's get started. Today with me, Molly Adkins. Molly, so lovely to have you here.
Oh,
Welcome.
thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Wonderful. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I have recently retired from my 30-year career in public education and started my own business in sound healing. And there's been so many things happening in the last year and a half since I made that decision that, it reminds me of how when you're really in line with what you're supposed to be doing, things will come to fruit, and I've spent so many years just struggling and trying to get ahead and trying to get things done and doing things and working so hard. And now I'm just like loving every day, relaxed, and, everything's coming to, the business is coming through. I just love it so much.
Yes, I love it too. And I think you're so right, right? When we are in flow, when we are in alignment, everything just comes together. When we are in effort, never going to happen.
Yes, yes, yes. So true. Yeah.
So where do we begin? I'm so curious about your story. What brought you to change everything, to quit and then come to where you are, and how did you find it? So many questions.
Yeah. It was not an easy trip, I trip or journey or whatever we want to call it. I think I was being hit over the head by the universe saying, if you don't get into this sound healing stuff now, we're going to make things really bad for you. Uh, if I go way back to the beginning, I was a voice major as an undergrad. And then I went to Japan. I was living in Japan for 11 years. While I was there, I was studying Japanese music and became a Japanese folk song singer. I did my master's degree in ethnomusicology while I was there. Came back to the United States, and I've been here since the year 2000. And I was living in a different state at that time. And came back with a husband from South Korea and an infant, and thought I was going to do this great job in ethnomusicology or something with music, but I couldn't get into it. It was, um, my husband didn't speak English. Our common language was Japanese at the time. So we were both speaking a second language with each other, had this baby, all these things were happening. So I found a job teaching in the high school. I was teaching Japanese, by the way. And over those years, it was about 20 years that I was teaching in the high school. And while the job was okay, I knew it wasn't my heart's calling. I knew there was something out there bigger for me. And bigger might not even be the right word, but something else out there. And I kept getting that message, but I kept ignoring it. And I stopped doing my music very regular. I mean, once in a while I'd get a gig where I'd go to a university as a researcher and talk about Japanese music, do some performance. But it wasn't this regular thing of being using sound vibrations, which I'll talk about soon, using these vibrations and singing. And I eventually became very depressed. My marriage was rocky. My job was harder and harder to go into the job. And because I didn't understand energy and vibration at that time. And then it's been maybe 5.5 years ago. I got this email from my school email from a yoga studio that said, hey, we'll give you 1 month free if you join for, buy one, get 1 month free. So I was like, I'm going to do yoga this summer. So I started going to yoga classes, and the class that went to was at 6 o'clock in the morning, How many high school teachers take their summer break and still get up at 6 o'clock in the morning? That's how much I was in love with this class. And it was every single day. So Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock, it's not even getting up at 6, it's being there at 6. And the teacher, who was from India, was doing mantra chanting. And through those classes, I could just feel like stuff was happening. We'd be chanting along. We would do a sun salutation and do a chant. I didn't know what that meant, but just something about that vibration coming through. I'm like standing in warrior pose, crying. I'm like, I don't know what is going on with me, but this is really good. I went to another class. I had crystal singing bowls. And then I was like, okay, I am totally in love with whatever these vibrations are. And that's when I really started to study and learn about energy healing and energy itself, and how we're affected in our daily lives by the sounds and the noise and the vibrations that we hear and feel every day. And I did my Reiki master practitioner. I did my yoga teacher training. I did my sound healing certification. Eventually, after I decided to make this big move, I also now have my intuitive life coaching certification. So just keep, learning more and more about sound. And so it was in that process of learning about energy that I started to do my own meditation and sound healing for myself. So I was using humming, and I started using all these, instruments. Just by practicing, learning how to use them, I knew I was healing myself. And I realized, I need to get out of my marriage. I need to be able to grow and to heal, and to get out of the job and, really follow my heart's calling and follow that intuition that's calling me. And it was maybe the first time, not the first time, but first time in probably about 20, 25 years that I was really following that. This is what I know I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And so, yeah, it was at that time I took early retirement, sold my house, sold everything in it, packed up all my sound healing instruments, my 2 kitty cats in my car, drove across the country to Colorado, the state of Colorado, where I didn't know anybody, didn't know, just started a business. So, complete trust that everything's going to be okay. So yeah, that's what, that's fine.
That's a little bit about the story, and that sounds incredible. I love what you're saying. Going into that mantra class, and not understanding anything about it, and yet feeling that it's just working and that it's doing the right thing. Not that no one is calling it the right thing, but it's moving the right parts, and that things are actually, that you're able to go back then and saying, yes, this is where it all started. And now
Yeah.
here you are, as you say, you have your business. But I'm also really curious about understanding a little bit about more about sound healing. I mean, I have a tiny little bit of an idea of what that is, but I am so curious, and I love the background of all the things that you have behind you. I'm like, I want to go there. I want to try it all out. I want to see what it does.
Yeah, so sound healing uses the vibrations of a variety of instruments to interact with the energy of the body and train them into more balanced. So basically what's happening is that our body and everything in the world, not just our body, but everything is vibrating at all times. And we can't see it vibrating. Most people can't see it vibrating, but there's probably somebody out there that can.
Probably.
But we're vibrating at all times. And our body, so we're thinking about that. And then our body also is memorizing every single experience that we've ever had. So it's memorizing it energetically or through vibration. And then as we're experiencing these different things, so it could be something that's really happy, or it could be something really sad. It could be some kind of trauma in our lives. And our there are different vibrations that are related to all of these emotions and all of these things that we're experiencing. So the higher vibrations like joy and peace and love and that, those vibrations actually are like Teflon. They in our energetic field. So they just kind of slide off of us. Whereas the lower vibrations, pride, um, grief, nothing's coming to you know those lower vibrations, anger, that
Shame,
type of thing.
sadness.
That
Yes.
those are more like mud. They stick to our body. They stick to our energetic field. So, and then what happens if we've got a big mound of mud in our energy, or if you're walking down the street and you step in some mud, you kind of get stuck there, right? And you can't move forward. Right? This is a pretty big mud pile. So that's kind of how our energy is. So if we have this energy that's stuck in our bioenergetic field, we it our vibration is not vibrating in a balanced manner. So it's hard to move forward. It's hard to make decisions. It's hard to do all these things that we want to do. So what I do is I'm using crystal singing bowls or drumming or the big gongs or tuning forks and different combinations of vibrations and sounds to help release that stuck mud, that stuck energy, right? So you have different techniques and how to get the energy moving and how to balance it out with these instruments. And it's really, it sounds like it's kind of a modern idea, but these are things that have been going on for thousands of years. We're just now recalling those traditions and getting them back, into holistic healing for ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds incredible, and it also reminds me, the energy healing that I do with the body code and emotion code. It's also about the trapped emotions and how we have the blocked energy, so we can't actually, you said, vibrate in that energy flow, but also, yeah, anything that we wish for ourselves, we can't do because we are blocked. Everything is blocked. So what we wish, actually, we end up getting what we didn't want. And
Yes.
when we clear the trapped emotions, slowly we start to manifest what we do want.
Yes.
Um, but I'm curious, how do you know? I mean, for me, when I walk with people, I ask the subconscious mind, guide me, tell me where to go, what is blocked, what is interfering. How do you know where the blocked energy is? And let's start with that. How do you know where the blocked
How do I
energy
know
is?
what to do? How do I know what to do? Well, it's a combination of things, two things. So one is exactly what you're doing, is asking my higher self, just listening to the intuition, what's coming in for me and for my client. Then using the instruments, I have one Tibetan bowl. I actually have a Tibetan bowl right next to me. It's not the one that I usually use, but I use one of these Tibetan singing bowls, and when you hit the bowl, it starts to vibrate. Now I know what each one of my bowls sounds like when the vibration is balanced. Okay. So our bodies are letting off or have, vibration around us, so our subtle body is what it's called, is about 3 to 6 feet out from our physical body. So, when I bring my Tibetan singing bowl while it's vibrating into the energy of my clients, the vibration will change based on whether it's stuck emotion or excessive emotion or vibration, right? That they're excessive energy, actually, not necessarily emotion, but excessive
Yeah.
or yeah, depleted energy. So I actually hear energy, put it that way simply, through the vibrations of the bowls, or the tuning forks is another really good one for being able to assess where somebody's energy is, whether or not somebody's energy is balanced.
And how do you know which tool to use, which ball to reach out for?
Yeah, so that's part of the training, right? So depending on, like, if I'm trying to relax somebody, because 80% of the reasons that we go to a doctor these days is due to stress. So
Mm,
half the battle is finding relaxation. So the main goal is always at first is to have my client relax, and then so that they're open and ready for the next step of healing. So I'll bring maybe two crystal singing bowls that have very harmonious sounds to them, and that helps with bringing in that relaxation, triggers relaxation. If I'm trying to get some energy, like it feels just really stuck, it's like really muddy, then I'll bring maybe two different bowls. So I'll just stick with the crystal singing bowls, two tones that are very close together. So they're making this kind of like uncomfortable feeling. We call it dissonant in Western music. And might, start to move that energy a bit. I also use shakers. Shakers are also really good. Shake things up with the
yeah,
shakers, right?
amazing.
And so, yeah, once that energy is starting to move, then I bring back in another type of vibration to balance that. So, yes, depending on what it is, I have different, if it's a physical ailment or a mental, emotional dis-ease, then I'll bring in different combinations of instruments. Yeah.
Mm. So I guess it sounds a little bit again another similarity to my energy healing, in that basically by you doing what you do with the instruments, things just balance out and maybe they heal. So there's no necessarily, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not necessarily conversations, or people don't necessarily need to physically dig deeper into emotions or traumas and stuff like that. It just maybe maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting that you bring that up, because some people come to me because they're like, I've been in talk therapy for years and that's not working for me. I just need something needs to move, something's different.
Yeah.
So in that case, yeah, I don't ever press my clients to talk to me about what's going on. I might ask, like, what do you want to work on, kind of more general things. The thing with sound healing, however, is that during a session, I often get downloads about the person. And it's not really specific, like on April 3rd at this time, they had this experience. It's not that kind of thing. It's more of, oh, the number 12 kept coming to me, or the name Jane kept coming to my mind. Do you know anybody named Jane? And they're like, oh my gosh, I know Jane. And then start talking about, well, this is how I know Jane. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm going through right now, is my same relationship with Jane, this person, or something like that.
Mm.
So what happens is that we get, and sometimes the client themselves will get some kind of a vision, like I was seeing spiders, or I saw a hawk, or I saw this, um, like landscape, or it could be just about anything. So the talk part in my sessions are often deciphering what the message was that they got or I got during the session, the sound healing session itself. So often, more often than not, well, just through discussing, they'll be like, oh yeah, yeah, oh gosh, yeah, I know exactly what that is. Or I can actually hear timelines as well, which is interesting. So I can say to somebody like, hey, about when you were about 10 to 15 years old, there's some stuck energy. And this is actually something that happened. So I was like, between 10 and 15 years old, something happened and I'm getting this vision of a horse. Does that mean anything to you? You're like, oh my gosh, I fell off a horse when I was 12 years old. And, I thought this is, I broke my leg or whatever. I can't remember now, but so those types of things will come up, and then we'll know that that is still some trapped energy, some stuck energy that needs to be worked out for that client.
To me, it really does sound fascinating. And do are we ever done? I mean, are we ever all balanced and everything, or is there always something more to do?
Well, there's always something more to do, of course, you know, because our energy is always moving. We're
Sure.
always in a different mood every day, different emotion, whatnot. And if you know the seven chakra, the seven energy centers, they're always in motion, right? Always in
Mm.
motion. So when I'm doing an assessment, it could be just that day. Like I've had client come in, they're like, I am just so off today. I don't know what's going on. You know, that happens.
That
You know,
happens
just
all the
one day,
time.
right? Right. It's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm feeling off. And then I'll do an assessment of the seven chakra. I'm like, well, yeah, your chakras are running backwards or something, you know, or not circling at all. So
Yeah.
that, yeah, we're always moving. Our energy is always moving. So there's always something that we can do to help balance, and always something new to learn, and way something, to grow, to be just, yeah, just to keep growing. We all keep growing all the time, right?
All the time, absolutely. And what is it that, now from the space of, you said about 5 years since you started learning all of this, what do you absolutely love about everything that you do?
I love to watch the transformation of my clients, and that moment when they're like, "Oh my gosh, I know exactly what's going on, and I know what to do. I know what to do to move forward now." That moment is just like so special,
Mm.
and to see that progress from when they're like, "I don't know what's going on in my life, just like things are chaotic, and I don't know what to do," to, I have an 8-week coaching program where I use the sound healing along with the life coaching, intuitive life coaching. Like, so we go really deep. And so that watching just over 8 weeks, what can happen in just 8 weeks in somebody's life is just amazing. Yeah, I think I love that the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me, can you give me an example? I mean, I'm really, I mean, I've always, also for about 5 or 6 years, been doing coaching, but recently I've got more into this idea of the, really wanting to help people with chronic pain and chronic illness and stuff, and using the coaching and the energy healing. So, um, I really love to hear a little bit more about people who come to you with physical ailments and how the sound healing, what success stories can you share with us?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm actually holding a tuning fork right now, which is
Right.
what I would use in a physical. I was actually using this on myself today. um, so what I do when there's something more physical, and oftentimes it's, bringing stress in the shoulders is one. I had a client that had like locked jaw, also like lower back pain, that type of thing, that lower back pain that went down into the hip. So I often, in that case, when I know it's something like energy that needs to be released or the muscle needs to relax, then I will use this type of tuning fork. It's a weighted tuning fork, which when it has a weights on it, it really concentrates that vibration into the tip of the fork. And I'll use the tips of the forks just like you would acupuncture. So there's different points on the body that you can put the vibration that will help release that area. Yeah. I was working with a client, and this one was actually online. It wasn't even in person. So the person that had the locked jaw, she was just having such a hard time. She's a good friend of mine too, which is kind of funny because she's like, I've known you for 6 months and I never thought to come to you. I've got this issue. And I'm like, all right, let's have a session. So I worked with her for, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. And I was doing vibrations on my side and explaining how to use humming, because your voice, it's economical and you have it all with you. It's very accessible,
Yeah.
right? Always vibration. You can use your voice as a sound healing tool. And so I was showing her how to use her own voice or vibrations to heal herself. She came into the session with a pain of, on a scale of 1 to 10, she said it was a 7. By the end of that hour, it was a 3. So it's just like, It's just so magical, even online, right? Doing this kind of thing. It's just just really interesting how, because energy, we're all interconnected energetically.
Yeah.
So that being able to transfer that is just
And
amazing.
I second that. It is truly amazing. And sometimes people come to me and they try to understand what to expect. And then I say to them, well, I can't exactly tell you how you're going to react and what magic you're going to experience. I can definitely tell you about other people in similar situation that I have walked with, and what they experienced, and so then of course they have to have this leap of faith if they haven't done something like that before, and then when they experience it for themselves, it's like a little bit, I guess, like what you're describing. It's like I didn't believe it, and now now I do. Now I'm hooked. Now I'm now I'm a believer.
Yeah, that's so true. I've had people that, because I do group sessions as well, a sound bath or sound healing journey. And they're like, I don't know about this. It's gonna be weird. But once they experience the whole, 90 minutes of sound, and then they're like, I can't explain it, but I'm going to be back. I can't explain it. That's almost every single time. Like, I can't explain what just happened, but I'll be back for sure.
Amazing, amazing. We nearly we nearly coming to the end of the of our conversation, but I'd love to hear some sample if you can, if you don't mind, and then I know we're going to talk a little bit more. But do you mind letting us listen to maybe just one or two things?
Yeah, sure. I can absolutely do that. Let's, why don't I just use the Tibetan singing bowl that I have right here,
I
and
happen to have one. Yes, I prepared earlier.
just happened. Always. Oh goodness. So just for like a couple minutes, we'll do some breathing together, and you just feel that vibrations. Ah. So if you choose to, you can have your eyes gently closed or have a soft gaze in front of you. Hmm. Feet firmly planted on the floor. And as you inhale, bring up the energy from Mother Earth through the bottoms of the feet, through the legs, the spine, out the crown of the head. And as you exhale, bringing down the energy of Father Sky, bringing down that energy all the way through the body and out the bottoms of the feet. Continue to take those breaths, bringing up the energy, the loving, warm, unconditional love through the body. And as you're exhaling, releasing any tension that you might find in the body, in the shoulders, any area that's uncomfortable, allowing that to release into the earth. And seeing those bits of unnecessary stuck energy to be released into the earth, where she recycles and replenishes. And continue to take another deep breath in, all the way through the body to the tips of the fingers, out the crown of the head. And then exhale fully, bringing the belly button to the spine. Just listen to the vibrations. Nice. And as you're ready, we'll take one more deep breath in and exhale fully. If you choose, you can bring your hands together, the palms of the hands together, and rub them together, creating some friction in the hands. bringing some warmth there. And then as you feel that warmth, bring the palms of the hands over the eyes, sealing in the energy here. And as you're ready, gently open, getting used to the light, and bring the hands back down. Nice.
That is so lovely. It's I can just imagine, of having it online, obviously with the distance and other sounds around me, and it was so lovely. And imagining what it must be like to be there face to face, feeling it actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different experience for sure because if you're here in the studio, you actually feel the vibrations of the instruments,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I think you can also feel it online, right? You can still feel
yes.
something. But do you mostly work with people face to face, or do you? You mentioned already that you would do sometimes online.
Yeah, it's slowly transitioned to more in person since I've moved to Colorado. Before this, kind of that in between state where before I got settled into my studio, I was doing most of my work was online. Most of it was online. And then once I got, manifested this amazing studio, then I started doing more and more in person. And that seems to be going really well.
Yeah, that studio looks amazing. Like seriously amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
So tell me, we talked a little bit before. If you have anything to promote, or if you want to tell us about how people can find you and work with you, let us know.
Yeah, sure. So my website is my name, mollyadkins.com. And I do work online with my coaching programs and the one-on-one sessions as well. So if you do something one-on-one here in the studio, I actually put out my massage table and envision you just being here with me. And I can hear the energy of your body just the same way as if you were here. So I do have those. They're always going. I also have a really cool um, mind class. Mind isn't the right master class. I kept thinking mastermind.
That's
So
fine.
master class coming up, and it's called Assess and Align Your Chakra Power, Releasing Physical and Emotional Pain. And this is a free class that you can join. It's next week, next Thursday, and I'm actually partnering with Nina Elliott, who is much like you. She does holistic pain. She's a holistic pain specialist, so releasing pain. And so we're powering up. We're joining together and creating this master class. Then I am also taking a group of people to Japan next spring, which is
Wow,
going to be amazing. So in 2024, the end of March, beginning of April, when the cherry blossoms are out, I am taking a group to Kyoto area and the mountain really close to there where Reiki was founded. So I'm going to be it's called the Spiritual and Cultural Immersion Tour. So we'll be going in that area and doing lots of really both touristy stuff, but also having some spiritual practices and
that
just,
sounds amazing.
oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So yeah, that's all on my website.
And I imagine that. I mean, I don't know the Japanese drums. I've went to see a few of them in my time, and
Oh yeah.
it's everything, right? It brings so much out of you when you listen to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm so excited. So yeah, anybody can join us in Japan for that tour. So I'm
sounds amazing. Just thinking to myself, can I manifest that?
yes, yes, do it, do it.
Yes, I would definitely love that.
Mhm.
Molly, thank you so much for being here and sharing with us just a little bit of everything that you do. And, I'm sure there's tons more to talk about and to hear and to learn and to absorb and all of that. But thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm going to leave all your details, with this video, with this conversation, so people can find you, reach out, and hopefully meet you in person, online, or in Japan.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me
you.
on. It's been so much fun. I just feel so blessed to be able to have this conversation with you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. I loved it too. Right.
All right.
Thanks.